I just want to say before we start watching everybody, I don't say congrats to everybody. I've learned a lot just by sitting here and watching and going last. So that was pretty awesome. But this is Team Six. This is the Tech Excellence cartoon app. It's myself, Cameron Henderson, Robert Simmons, Julius Walker, and Eric Lucas. All right, so it'll make sense later, but our team name, we decided to go with this Toon Squad. Once you see our demo, it'll make a lot more sense. The overall application that we chose is essentially using a source bucket, using Lambda as a serverless app, and having a destination bucket and transforming the initial image into one of three things. Our cloud engineer, Julius Walker, cloud engineer, myself, cloud engineer, and Eric Lucas, cloud engineer. These pictures will make more sense as we go through the presentation. So once again, it's a serverless app, and we had three ways, but for the demo, you're gonna see an initial image. As you saw on the previous slide, that was a pencil sketch, one of our options. We're gonna use another image and have it come out in a cartoon, animated. And the third idea is an image resize.
And here, the basic technologies and we use is AWS S3, a Lambda. We use a GitHub for our repo, AWS CloudFormation, Docker, and one of the technologies that the user / admin needs is AWS SAM CLI. Here's a picture of our basic architecture. Basically, what happens is the user places a photo into the S3 bucket. The API gateway invokes the Lambda function to make the requested changes to the photo, and then the change photo is placed in the destination of the S3 bucket. And the deployment process is the user clones a project from GitHub, uploads that template to CloudFormation, and then they use the SAM CLI to deploy. And here are some of the challenges and the issues that we had. I think one of the main things I've seen through all these presentations is permission errors. Everyone's getting those. You always have to have your permissions correct. So that was kind of one of the first things that we ran into. The second one was we had to vary from the documentation because we were using Python libraries that needed to be deployed as an image and not a zip file. And the third one was the Lambda handler didn't listen right away. A trigger had to be set up to pass events to the Lambda handler, as well as grant permissions to the S3 bucket. And the last issue we faced were there were timeout issues with the Lambda execution. Basically, we were facing timeout issues depending upon how large the photo was to be processed. And one of the changes you can make is just extend that timeout further out. And now to Rob for our demo.
All right, you gonna stop sharing?
Yep.
Are you guys seeing it? Okay. All right, so here I'm in a empty directory. All right. So I'm just going to clone down our project. Okay, so starting in that cartoon directory, that's something, this whole structure is something that comes from doing a SAM init on your machine. The reason why it says cartoon is I did SAM init cartoon, but in here we have 3 different apps which they make functions to perform these transformations. So today we're just going to redeploy the Sketch app. So I'm going to do a SAM build -- use -- container. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't go deep enough. So once you're in the project, so pick the app you want to do. So I'm going to go to Sketch app. So this template here is what it was complaining about. So now my SAM build will work. Okay, and now it's time to deploy it. So I'm going to call this the demo day app. That region is fine. So this is saved on my machine here. This is the Elastic Container repo that we're going to use. It's in our account. You'd have to put in your own to make this work. Yeah, I want to just accept the defaults here. Mike, this is some more TOML for you. That's where it's going to save everything I just put in there. So now you see the change set, what it's going to add. I'm going to accept that. Now, while it's going through, we can come over to our Amazon account. So these are the 3 apps that are already there. And here's a bunch of buckets. So each one of those has like a source and destination bucket that performs a transformation when you upload to the source one. These are the ones we're going to do today. Okay, so that template file that I pointed out earlier is where it's pulling these cloud formation things that it's pushing. All right, so that's done. All right, so if we refresh here, all right, there's the new application. And go into the function that made here. So now that it exists here, it needs a trigger. So we can add a trigger, and we want this to function when something is put into this bucket here. We need to let it know to operate off the puts. You got to acknowledge this, that you're not creating a crazy loop where when something gets uploaded, it triggers something else to upload. And lastly, it needs permissions. So we need to use an execution role that has access to S3. And this is where you can also adjust your timeout if you need to. So now if we come here and upload a file. What's that one? That one. There's a destination bucket. Never seen that error before. You click on a bucket and it says the bucket wasn't found. Okay, well, it's here now. And here it's been transformed. All right, I'm going to stop sharing. Back to Eric.
Morning, everyone. Okay, so I'm responsible for talking about the last 2 features of our application. One in which would be the cartoon example. So on the left, as you can see, there is a original picture of Obama with the Marine, and on the right-hand side, you see the cartoon image picture. It has the cartoon graphics to it, and then the next function of our app was just something basic as a resize example. So on the left, you see a bigger image of President Obama, and then on the right, once it goes through the bucket, it spits out the smaller image. Also, the future state, what we would add to this application, we would using SNS pub sub, so S3 can trigger 3 separate Lambda functions at once. Also, use one source bucket that sends to 3 different destination buckets, depending on desired output, whether it be cartoon, pencil sketch, or resize. And also, we could use the SNS to distribute pre-signed URLs to grant access for a particular output for someone who does not have an IAM access.
All right, and that is the end of Team 6, the last guys to go. I hope we maintain the bar for everybody. Do we have any questions or anything of that sort before we close out?
No commentary, no questions?
Innovative use of services. So very nice.
I'd like to see a cartoon of Michael.
Send us an image, we can do it.
I was gonna do it, yeah, I was having trouble downloading stuff. from,
Definitely, we'll take care of that.
Yeah, no problem.
yeah, I'm on a personal computer, so.
How did you guys come up with the idea?
So I had read a Medium article where they, let me put a video on. Medium article where they talk to you about how to code up a simple Python script to change pictures. From there, I noticed I started Googling some of the things that were in there, and I found a simple web app, which actually became the basis for this project. So to take those pieces of functionality and then, turn them into individual Lambda functions. And, we were hoping to actually achieve all 3 of those transformations from one source bucket. But, this is as far as we got, but that was
That's
hard
That's
enough.
the coding, programming, yeah, the coding.
Yeah,
I have a
great.
question too.
Awesome.
I was just kind of curious. I thought it was super cool that you guys did the infrastructure as code thing, and I was wondering why or like what led you to use SAM.
So if you look at any sort of documentation on how to put one of these functions out there, they will generally have you deploying from a zip file. And as they said in the presentation, our some of the libraries we're using don't work well with that. So there's like a little footnote. It's like, hey, if you're doing something like that, try this SAM tool. So that sent me down a whole nother direction in terms of how to develop this. And it's the same thing too. If you try to go to the AWS CLI, if you're just reading through the help on trying to use, like, say, the Lambda wizard from the CLI, it doesn't address this this whole container runtime version of doing this.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. So I'm going to stop recording for Team 6. So thank you, Team 6.